So anyways, my name's Jeremy. I'm one of the leaders here for Birmingham AI Security Breakout Group. With me is this fine, young-looking group of professionals on the front row. Yeah, young. So we kind of make up the security breakout session here. I know a couple of faces were here last month. Excited that you're back. We've got some good topics today we're going to cover. Great feedback from the last meeting as well, so I appreciate that. If there's things that come up that you guys want to hear about more or dig into, we're still creating sort of what does this year look like, right? And so there'll be some slides at the back half of the presentation today just for feedback and things like that. But we really want this to be conversational. Talk to us. Ask Lora a bunch of questions. She'll be demoing today, so I'm highly anticipating questions here. But anyways, with that, just want to say thank you to our sponsors. Lee and the team just came into the room. So KeySys is our main sponsor this month, and so in addition to Link, and we want to make sure that we call them out. If you don't know what they do, KeySys is a platform building machine, and so they have developers that create applications for you, customization, and just work with you on that side of the house. So if you need something from that standpoint, those are the guys to go see. As far as Link is concerned, they are an app integrated for connections. So utilize them for any business contacts, connections, taking your business cards, creating digital applications for profiles. And so it's a way for you guys to interconnect as business professionals. So take a look at them. And then also General AI meetup last week, actually. We just announced UAB is now adding to this month's sponsorship. So we're so happy to have them, to the whole slew of other sponsors that we include here. If you are interested, by the way, and you have a business that wants to sponsor, I know talking to Austin and the crew of becoming a sponsor would be great. They're still looking for some of those slots. I think the game plan is to rotate in and out, just so we have a new fresh face every couple of months, and that way we don't put the basis on anybody's shoulders. Another thing that was discussed last week was the AI Summit at UAB. This is coming up in April. This will be a great opportunity if you want to dig into how does AI relate to my business? What do we need to think through? And as we develop, we integrate AI into our infrastructure to get some meaningful, impactful, immediate changes into what we're doing. So great cast of folks that are going to be there hosting these conversations. So highly encourage you guys to sign up and attend. A personal plug, so being the security group that we are having the Southeast Cybersecurity Summit in April 15th through 16th. Austin will be speaking there as one of our primary panelists. We've got a panel of pretty good cybersecurity expertise as well as AI and some of the things that are going on in the security space there. Would love to have you guys here. If you would like to sponsor this event as well, I think we're still collecting sponsors. Are we, John?
Yeah.
David? Okay. We're still collecting sponsors for that. If you're interested in that, come talk to either myself or John or David sitting over here, and we can help facilitate that conversation. And then last but not least, before I get John up here, who all was at the General AI meetup last week? Okay. All right. So one thing that was announced was the launching of a parents breakout group. I think this is phenomenal. It's well needed, especially as we understand kind of from a security standpoint how children interact with technology, right? And so we've seen that over the course of years with social media and the algorithms that it plays in, and just the heightened awareness around how are these kids being developed. And so as AI happens, it's going to infiltrate our education system. It's going to infiltrate our kids. And so from a parent standpoint, I have three, just understanding how do we integrate that and have those meaningful conversations before it becomes disastrous, right? And so it's those healthy aspects of integrating technology in day-to-day life. So I'm excited about this breakout session being launched. I think there's more information coming on when the actual one comes out. with that, I'm going to hand it over to John to talk through Anthropic's supply chain risk. I don't know if any of you saw this, but Anthropic is in the midst of a battle with the U.S. government. So I'm going to let John talk through this a little bit more. Yeah, right?
So the majority of this does specifically relate to organizations that are within defense contracts. So I won't ask you to raise your hand if you have defense contracts, but keep in mind contextually, we'll dig into some of that as we go. So just kind of going through this really quickly, raise of hands, who is aware or kind of familiar with the ongoing issues with Anthropic and the US government? Okay, so this shouldn't be news to anybody. This is more of kind of a clarification and a quick update. So back in July of last year, Anthropic joined with OpenAI and Google and Amazon to be some of the AI platforms that the US government and Defense Department is actually using to conduct activities. At the beginning of this year, the US shifted to an AI first mentality and put a lot of focus on the models that were being used. Throughout the year, we've seen some military activities that may have included some of the use of those AI models. And so as we started talking about the way that the government was using or plans to use the Claude models, Anthropic basically brought up 2 points that were red lines from their perspective: autonomous execution of military activities and mass surveillance. And those were 2 red lines that they said, hey, we're not going to enable or continue to help you propagate that using our models. And so in March, or earlier this month, they were identified as a supply chain risk by the US government. That designation was specifically done in 2 ways. It was done, one, from the FASCA, which I meant to write down but didn't, so excuse me if I don't remember that specifically. But that's specifically for the companies that are working as defense contractors. So if you are actively in a company that is working through defense contracts, you may need to have some consideration for where or how Claude models are being used within your environment currently. That being said, this afternoon that could change. The second part of that is the Title 10, Section 3252, which is basically the supply chain definition. One of the little call-outs I want to have just as a side note, when I was looking into this, the law that's actually in the US code actually references the NIST definition of supply chain. And that is, I'm not going to go read through all of this, but basically the one thing that I want to call out here is what makes this a particularly interesting situation is that the language specifically identifies adversaries as a part of the supply chain risk. It's never been used to be directed at US companies. It's always been foreign companies that have been designated as such. So this is really a different kind of situation for the way that a US company is being designated as such. And as of this morning, or excuse me, as of the Monday, yeah, it's quickly, rapidly updating. As of Monday, Anthropic actually took the US government to court, which is specifically kind of following up on both of those situations. But because they are being legislated or educated, what's the right word there? Because they're adjudicated. Thank you very much. Because they're being adjudicated within 2 different areas, it actually is 2 separate conversations that they're having to fight. So what you may see over the next couple of days or weeks or months is advancement in one area, but not in the other. So what you may see is backing off some of the requirements for the consumption of it for contractors, or potentially specifically for the use of how the model is going to be used. So keeping an eye on how that kind of shakes out is really interesting. But we wanted to give just a kind of a quick update. Like I said, Monday is the most recent. By the time I'm done talking, and by the time Laura gets done, we may have an update. So if there are any questions or anything that you want to discuss, please, kind of feel free to toss them out there if you've had issues or you've had concerns from your own legal departments. As far as consumption, anecdotally, and this is purely John, not nothing else, what I have seen and what I have heard commercially is a lot more interest in and more more interest in the consumption of those models because of the hard line that they've kind of taken in saying, hey, within mass surveillance and within the use of autonomous military activities, we still don't want to be a part of it. But we'll see how much the government's checkbook influences that. So appreciate y'all's time. And if y'all have any questions before, oh yeah, go ahead.
So first, I think the mass surveillance is only mass surveillance of U.S. citizens. Also, so it's actually a little more limited than just mass surveillance.
Fair.
And then the second really interesting thing is the next day, OpenAI, who says they got the same concessions that Anthropic says they were unwilling to, or they were unwilling to, it was their red line. The next day, they signed a contract with the government to provide OpenAI to provide all of ChatGPT to the government.
Yeah. And so to that point, this is very specific to Anthropic. This is specifically talking about the advancement of that. But there is like I said at the beginning, the involvement across the various companies is broad, and you do see other companies taking advantage of the designation of supply chain risk currently.
So the interesting part there is they say they got the thing that is the reason why Anthropic is on the supply chain risk. So OpenAI says that those two restrictions are restrictions that exist in their contract with the government. And because Anthropic asked for those two restrictions, they got put on the supply chain risk, and OpenAI was awarded the contract.
There is, to that point, there is not a consistency in what we're necessarily seeing in the way that it's being exercised and practiced. So when we start digging into all of the specifics, the main goal for this was I've had a lot of people specifically reach out and ask questions about the level of interest or if they should be worried about using Anthropic models. And at this moment, no. Unless you are actively in a defense contract, legally, from a compliance perspective, the use of AI withstanding, there should be no concerns of using those Claude models.
I would add that, excuse me, from the perspective of Anthropic versus OpenAI and some of these others, there are philosophical differences between how they operate and how they believe the guardrails should be put in place. So I think that's factoring into some of this and why Anthropic maybe is being hardlined more than some of the others. But that's a whole separate conversation. There's some really interesting articles and podcasts about Anthropic's constitution and how that drives how they operate and how that compares to the OpenAI model. I think, John, you shared one of those in one of our groups.
Yeah, so really briefly, the one thing that I will say, if we're talking about it more broadly, is if you're making those decisions and you're trying to do that evaluation, I've basically made the recommendation that you treat these companies like you have treated cloud service providers in the past. It's a platform, they're providing services, they're providing capabilities. That advancement and that maturation of that partnership needs to happen in a very specific way and needs to be inclusive of legal compliance and everything else. But to the point that Laura was making, the one thing I would say, go out there and take a look at the leadership, take a look at the mission statements, and take a look at what the goals of each of the companies are. They're very distinctly different across all of the companies, and it may or may not persuade you to go one direction or another. Trying to be as unbiased as possible.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Or biased as possible.
Just it's one of those. I think if you read those documents and listen to some of those things, it helps you get a better insight into the different approaches. So we're not here to espouse one over the other. You are all educated, informed adults. You can make your own decisions. That's me. So deep thoughts on deepfakes.
Hold on, go back.
If you must. There you go. So today, I've been working in security for an insane number of years. So I run my own consulting practice now, and I'm doing a lot on how AI is impacting security. And interesting thing, if you showed up to the big thing that was held at Red Mountain Theater, if you were there and you came and found our security booth, you saw a preview of this. I'm gonna deep fake myself instead of deep faking all of you. But it was super easy. And the interesting thing is, someone came in and came to the booth and said, well, what does this have to do with security? I was like, oh, this is not obvious to other people. So last month we talked about AI being everywhere. Benji shared kind of how AI thinks and kind of the differences of what we expect and how non-deterministic AI is different than what we're used to computers doing, some of the privacy risks and what we need to be doing. So today I'll show you how bad it can get. So what did it take for me to create a deepfake? About 30 minutes. Everything's free. All this is running on my MacBook, which does not have a dedicated GPU, so it's not as fast as it would be with some other hardware, but it's still a viable attack method, and it's just super easy now. This isn't a nation state. This isn't something that's sophisticated, and it's something that is scaling quickly, and there's things that we can do about it. So here's the fun part. We're going to try to do a live demo and see if it behaves with the multiple monitors and the screen recording and everything else. I'm not sure what's going to happen. So let's just fire it up and see. So 4 grins, because I think this is what it's going to do. I think if I run it here, it's going to pop up here. So I've already initialized this, so it should be doing its thing. Oh, I know what it's doing. I don't need to VI it. I need to actually run it. There we go. Start. Please show up on that screen. Score. Okay. That's the one that's got the screen recording. So it's taken a little bit to load up all the models. The models are pretty big. Had to download them online, but here we go. Deep faking myself. Jeremy's back there taking pictures. If I take my glasses off, it usually does a better job. You can actually do models that will replace your hair as well. But this is super easy. This is running real time right now. So there's about 10 faces in here. They change every 15 seconds. Let's see who's after Elon. I forget. I'd have to look at my list. But this is just me, Claude Code, and a little bit of time. That's all it took. Oh, yep, Julia Roberts. I think I can do the next one. Here we go. There's Marilyn Monroe. And, no. Ryan Reynolds. Who's next? Oh, Scarlett Johansson. I had a little bit of a mix in here. And then, there we go, some Sly. So that should be the end of it. And now I'm going to, yeah, there's Tom Cruise in there as well. So that is overall. Let me put my glasses back on so I can see what I'm doing. Skipped what? Oh yeah, Taylor Swift was in there as well. So now let's get back to our display. So that's kind of scary, right? Real time with really not super powerful hardware. That is live, happening right in front of your eyes. So let's talk about how I made it happen. The interesting thing about this we'll talk about in a minute, but I went ahead and redid this exercise for today about a week and a half ago. This is the first prompt. Hey, I want to create a live deepfake demo for a conference booth that can run on my MacBook M4 Pro. Use free open source resource to build the capability, and a folder of new faces will be maintained. You should swap the image every 15 seconds. That's it. No special instructions. Didn't need to know what tools, whatever. So the difference between when I did this for the booth at the conference was I did that same prompt, and it came back and gave me 3 options. One of them was paid, so cool. That wasn't what I asked for, but okay. And then I had to iterate multiple times to get it to be what I wanted. And we go, oh yeah, here this is. Here this is. I was like, okay, well, that's not terrible. So after that first iteration, fired it up and ran it, and poof, error. So anyone here have a coding background too? Yeah, so you know, debugging code sucks, and it's tedious and it's time consuming. So you come up and you see this error, and you go, ugh, now I gotta go find where that is, figure out what happened, what's going on. I just pasted it in, and said, poof, error message. I didn't even give it context, say this is the error message. Here's what I got. So then it came back and it ran just fine. Great. And then because I'm lazy, prompt 3, I don't want to run all those commands because you had to like activate the Python environment, and then you had to do a couple of other things to give the different parameters. So just give me a script to make it run automatically. Thus the start.sh that I created earlier. So all of this, anyone can do this, right? It's terrifying. So that's the whole thing. 3 prompts, about 30 minutes, no additional cost. Ultimately, a Claude subscription that allows code was required because that's something that's limited to a paid subscription. So that happened, right? We saw with our own eyes my face transformed to all these different celebrity images. So what does that mean? So we can now, with AI technology, very easily swap faces in photos and video, as we just saw. We can clone voices. And this is a scary one. We'll talk about that later. We can create realistic video calls. We can create fake documents, fake IDs, all of this other stuff. So the big scary thing is the quality on this stuff is doubling so fast. We're saying, what I've read is it's doubling about every 6 months or so. It's almost no cost to do this. And the ability to detect this is really hard. That when we get to the more sophisticated platforms that are doing this, knowing when something is AI generated or AI modified, it's getting harder. Those phantom limbs, I know we've all seen the pictures that you go, oh, what's the AI tell? They have 3 arms, or they have 7 fingers, or something crazy like that. That's going away as all of this advances. So real-time video deepfakes are happening right now. But it's getting worse because this is something you can buy as a service. So $5 to $25 to deepfake a video. You just upload a video or upload an image, get a video back. The real-time subscriptions are out there and they're being used by threat actors actively. And then there are services that are targeting these ID verification systems. Have you had to take a picture of your driver's license and upload it to something to say, I am who I am? Services that are getting around that. John's like, no, denied, which is its own separate set of concerns. But this is getting so easy, it does not require any technical skill to actually do this. I can just go online and find deepfake as a service on the dark web or wherever. I no longer need any special equipment or hardware. Just give me a lunch break, a credit card, and a laptop, I'm good. And these attacks can scale really quickly just because it's so cheap and so easy to do. So now we're really getting into supply chain issues on top of all this. This is not necessarily just a hobby or a fun little thing that Lora did one night because she was bored. So the real impacts of this, we've seen this. The first one, this $25 million in Hong Kong finance, that happened last year. These tools weren't as advanced as they are now when that happened. The person got the typical business email compromise email. Hey, we need you to transfer money. And like, hey, dude, that's not normal. And they say, okay, well, we'll get on a Zoom and tell you. So they get on the Zoom meeting, and the CEO is there, and some other people who are deep fakes, and convince the person to do the transfer. So they transferred funds across 15 different transactions because their eyes said and their ears said, this is someone I know, this is someone in authority, this is someone I trust. We're getting where we can't trust our eyes and our ears. Similar thing happened with a UK energy firm. CEO fell prey to a cloned AI voice of a company executive. Then they went ahead and transferred funds. I don't answer my phone anyway, so I don't know. But people do still apparently answer their phone. And then the ongoing threat is around the North Korean IT workers. Has anyone had a real-life experience with a North Korean IT worker? All right, so it's way more common. This is a whole fascinating market, just to be perfectly honest. I think it's really just interesting how they're handling this. But they're deep faking in interviews. And we already know AI is being used in interviews. I've sat in an interview with someone, and it's obvious they're typing away quickly to try to get the answer. Well, deepfakes on top of that. It's pretty scary. I'll pause there. Any questions? So on the personal side, this is not just in businesses. We hear about the kidnapping calls. Your phone rings, it sounds like your kid crying, it sounds like your child. It is a reproduction of their voice. Their voice sounds real, but the kidnapping isn't. So their threat actors are using AI to clone voices and then target families to try to extort them for money by thinking that their child has been kidnapped. Same thing's happening with grandparents. And this has happened for a while. I don't think as many people know about it. Like, I talked to my dad about this. My dad's in his mid-70s, and he's like, I was like, hey, you should be aware of this. And he's like, why? This is why. These scams are happening all the time, and they're costing, according to the FTC, over $1 billion in 2023. We don't have numbers past that. At least I couldn't find any. But it is only going to get more common and more impactful. So we're all sitting here going, okay, it seems obvious. Like, why would people fall for these things? So, when the CEO calls, most people jump, oh, I need to do what they ask, which is a nightmare for a security person, right? I have to have conversations with my teams pretty frequently to be like, hey, just because the CEO wants it doesn't mean we give it. But in this scenario, oh, hey, Rob, I really need you to do this for me right now. Sounds just like them. It sounds legit. People fall for it because the authority bias. Then, talked about earlier, we trust our eyes, right? We trust our ears. We trust our eyes even more. If I can see this is John, this is Rob, this is whoever, I have more trust in that because I recognize that person's face, and we still are used to that being legit, even if it's remote over a Zoom meeting or similar. Then process gaps. If you're in a large regulated company, like a large bank, you probably already have processes to do this. So our smaller organizations, small, medium businesses, are really vulnerable to a lot of this because they don't have formal processes to verify voice, video, and other types of requests. And finally, that sense of urgency. We've been talking about phishing and other things as one of the things that's a tell is that sense of urgency. If you don't act now, something bad's going to happen. Or if you don't act now, there are repercussions. But at the end of the day, the attackers don't need perfection. They just need good enough for a limited amount of time. So the first things are what you can actually do about it. Let's talk about work first. Anytime you have financial transactions that are over a certain threshold, there should be a confirmation through another channel. So if you get the email, then someone picks up a phone call. They call the number of record. If you get a video, you follow up through some other channel. That's a trusted channel. It's like the scams that say, hey, give us a call at this number. Your banking account's been compromised. Give us a call at this number. No, I'm going to go look it up and call them directly. That same sort of process here, using known validated information, whatever you have in your procurement system, for example. Slowing down the process, anytime there is urgency coming through, we should be skeptical. So building some level of a waiting period for certain types of transactions. So if it's a large transaction saying, hey, 15 minutes isn't going to kill this deal, let's wait until that's done. If it is a real, actual scenario, that 15 minutes isn't going to matter. Realistically speaking, most people who are asking for these changes in a corporate environment or a business environment are not going to expect it to be immediate. They're going to understand. Then code word protocols, having some standard code word passphrase, it's verbal for any high stakes requests. Keep it offline if you do this. If it is stored in a shared drive, it is vulnerable to being intercepted. It's vulnerable to being stored. It should stay secret. And then training on feel. So, not everybody knows what a deepfake looks like. So showing people how real it is. Pulling up a demo like this and saying, hey, this is a deepfake. This is happening all over the place. because people don't recognize it. And if they see it with their own eyes, that you're doing it right in front of them, that helps drive in that awareness and understanding that it really could happen to them. So the family one is scary. I know we got a lot of parents in the room here. The big one, so my dad and I have this. We have a family safe word that, if someone ever calls him asking for money or, to bail me out of jail or, pay a fine or whatever, or that they've kidnapped me, and it sounds like me, then there's one word that we both know that the only person that ever knew it was also my mom, who's passed away. And I said, that is the key word. If someone can't give you that, then it's not me. Use something like that and hone it in with your family to make it your safe word so that if something like this happens, you're covered. The more visible you are online, the more likely something like this is to happen. The more information about you, the more pictures, videos, voice memos, and so forth are available online, the more vulnerable you are to being deepfaked. So that's this second one on the right, is that consider locking down your voice data, your audio, your video. I know a lot of people post pictures and videos of their families online, maybe not protected, maybe they are. It's still exposed and accessible to outside entities who can use that. Ashley can confirm that one with the cases she has seen and worked with through her work, that this is not a hypothetical. This is real stuff that's happening. And if you're putting videos of your kids on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, you're putting them at risk and your family at risk. Always verify before you panic. You get the call, oh my God, your child's been in an accident, something crazy's happened, we need money right now to be able to pay whatever scenario. Breathe and wait. Hang up, call them back on the number you know, the real number. Again, don't trust what they gave you. Make sure, look it up, and call them back that way. Teaching your kids what they should and should not be posting online. That one seems pretty obvious, but showing them what can happen is probably the biggest lesson. To show, hey, we can make you do whatever we want with some technology to show you doing something. So every instance you're putting out there could be used against you. If you have elderly parents like me, seniors, making sure that they know this is happening. Again, like I've been talking to my dad about this. I'm so proud of my dad. He's the most paranoid senior I know, and it is fabulous. I get texts from him all the time. Hey, I got this text message. Is this legit? No. Good job. Thank you. And constant reinforcement. Good job. Great job spotting that, because he's like, oh, I did good. Positive reinforcement is always in our best interest. And this was one I didn't really think about, but it came up when I was doing some research, was consider changing your voicemail greeting, because that's just a free sample. All someone has to do is call your number. And we all get those scams and the calls where they're just calling to see if you pick up, see if you pick up, see if you pick up. And it's voicemail, 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 voicemail. Well, if you have a voicemail message, you now have more audio that confirms who you are and what number you're associated with. So you've just given them even more information to do things in your name. All right. So the Monday morning checklist on this, things you should consider doing based off all this information. At work, making sure you have a $1 threshold for out-of-band verification. Pick that number, enforce it, make it a policy, train people on it. Because if they don't know about it, they're not going to do it. Show your leadership a deepfake. Do a demo like this. Make sure they know that this is real and this is happening and how easy it is. Make sure that you have that verify by callback for your wire transfer procedures, especially over certain dollar amounts, or if there's been a change. If you don't already have that, these are things you should be doing. This not only protects against deepfakes, this helps in your business email compromise scenarios as well. Make a big difference and save you a lot of money. Then picking a code word with your finance team, another option, builds into this whole process. And updating your security awareness training. Who's actually looked at their security awareness training recently? A couple of folks. Did it include anything around AI and deepfakes? Good. Y'all get a gold star. But a lot of places, one of my current clients, their awareness training is from like 2005, and it's pretty terrible. And I was like, this needs some help. So making sure you're reviewing that awareness training, that it's covering the new and current threats, that it's not just about don't click the link or whatever, because these things are changing. AI is making phishing so much harder for the average user to detect, because you don't have the tells anymore of the bad English, because AI can write it for you. It's just going to continue to become harder and harder for people. Send it home. We already talked about this, but family safe word. Tell everyone. Make sure everybody knows it. Don't publish it online. Don't save it in a Google Drive. Don't save it anywhere. That should be in everybody's head, and that's it. Something everybody's going to always remember. Call your parents. Warn them about voice phishing or any other seniors in your life that you love and care about. Make sure they know that this is something that's happening, and voice cloning can sound so real that they wouldn't be able to detect it. Review all your social media privacy settings. This is a big one for me. I think a lot of people just by default, just go and they use something and don't lock it down. Locking down your social media is a really valuable thing to do. Mostly security folks in here, so this is obvious. When I talk to less technical audiences, or even just technologists that are not in security, they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. So reviewing all of that, especially if you have kids, looking at their settings and all of that. Change your voicemail to the generic, hey, this is the number, without a message. And then if you get that panic call, hang up and verify. Always hang up and verify. So we ran a little shorter on time than I anticipated. We kind of flew through that. What questions do you have? What topics do we want to discuss?
I have a question. What is the current standard or whatever for voice cloning in terms of how many seconds is needed to be able to generate a good clone?
So the question was, for the benefit of our folks who are going to potentially listen to this later, what is the standard on the length of voice content to be able to create a reliable clone? I actually don't know what that is, to be perfectly honest. 10 seconds was the... Okay.
And it depends on what you're trying to produce. So like 10 seconds would be good enough, but it's going to lose inflection, pace of speech, those sort of things. So the longer the better.
Right.
As
As little as 13 seconds is the number we're hearing in the room.
Less than you think.
Yeah, way less than you think. I have a lot of content on LinkedIn and other places, so that is one of the reasons I have warned my dad so much that, hey, there's a lot of sample audio and video of me. You need to be aware. So if you have that kind of exposure, that's even more reason for you to hone this in with your family and your loved ones. John, you had...
The content that you're putting
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I'm very aware that the amount of content I have out there is definitely puts a little bit of a target on my back. But it's part of my business. So I have accepted that risk, so to speak. Any other questions?
For smaller companies, what could they use for verification processes? When you're getting the voice calls, video calls.
So the question is about smaller companies, what processes can you use to do that verification? The easiest one, pick up and call the known trusted number. That's number one. I know a lot of small companies, especially here, are still in office. So, walk over and talk to somebody, obviously, the easy things there. But anytime, if it's asking you to do something that's out of the normal, or it's just setting that threshold, I think, is really key. So if you're in a small business and you say, hey, anything over $5,000, we're going to verify, and here's the methods we're going to use to verify. If someone says, oh, call this other number, you go, sorry, I can't. I'm only going to call you on the trusted number. That's really the type of process that you have to build to be able to defend against this sort of thing.
You're actually bringing identity verification, right? Which is a big problem we as a world have to figure it out. If you no longer trust things, how do you verify the identity of the person behind it, right? From a technical point of view, you can always, if you have a person authenticator, you can person authenticator, that kind of stuff. But we've told our clients, there are certain requests you may ask of us that I will have to physically shake your hand and verify you're the person I'm talking to before I'll carry them out because of this. mean,
Because I mean, if you can, if I can talk to you and sit in front of you, I know.
Now, one that comes up a lot with my client systems, obviously gets into the kidnap scenario. You know, they're trying to keep you on the phone. They don't want you to get off of there. You can have someone else. So if you have a way to get someone else to call the number while you're still doing that, you have that verification going on while you're still there, while you're still listening, while you're asking for that code word and asking for information and pretending to play along, just like you do when you're trying to figure out, like, paying the ransom, not paying the ransom, let's figure out what they're getting, or what do they have actually access to before we tip off that we're doing on this. It's the same thing with the kidnap scenarios or with families, is get someone else who is calling that known number while you're still on the phone.
what do you do?
Sorry.
That is cyber-executive protection. So protecting executives when it makes their families.
The other thing
And
is
advisors.
procedures should be for everyone. No one in your organization should be usurping your procedures, including the CEO. Have them buy in. No one should be able to bypass procedures.
Absolutely. Procedures apply to everyone. There are no exceptions. And that part of that is getting your CEO to know, hey, you do this, this is what's going to happen, and this is how we're going to operate, and this is why.
Some information. It's also really well with link guys that can do two-factor for human verification. So just do a one-time passcode sync, and then I'll always admit you and just compare codes.
Yeah.
Same way you do your login to the website.
One-time passcodes are an option. There's a whole space starting to come up in this identity verification, because when we look at ransomware scenarios or even extortion scenarios where the call is coming from inside the house, the bad guys are in there, you can't trust who's saying who they are. How do you verify and get people back online? So that I've lived this. I had to get 6,000 people verified online, remotely, worldwide, in a course of 6 days, and it's brutal and is not perfect, especially if you don't have it mapped out in advance, because it is so easy to fake your identity now that you can't trust anything. So figuring out what that looks like before it happens to you, I highly recommend. Yeah?
Is there any tools to reverse engineer?
So the question is, are there any tools to reverse engineer this stuff? I don't know that we've really gotten there. There are a lot of tools that say, oh, AI detection and so forth. I think that they're still very much in their infancy. And because the pace of growth and enhancements is so fast, we've always been playing catch up with security. It's the same thing here, that it may take us a while to figure out how to identify this proactively, and we may never, to be perfectly honest.
On that note, there's a push to put hidden metadata in
Yeah.
videos and images that you can use tools to verify that hidden metadata, but you gotta get all the companies that's producing things
Yeah.
like 11 Labs, Agent, et cetera, to buy into using that. And using that.
Yeah, I mean, like, so if you're not aware of this, we call additive models, or basically taking the models and rows out, because you're always like, that's great, you're replacing the rules, the bad guys are kept the rules, right? So that's
Right.
And so.
But if we get to a point where we say anything that is authorized is going to have the steganography, essentially, the embedded verification in it, then anything that doesn't have it, we don't trust. There's always going to be someone who figures out how to use that for evil. I mean, that's just the nature of this. All right. Yeah.
I take the code word thing you're talking about, I take it to another level, and when I'm talking, I know it's deepfake, or I know I'm talking to somebody who's using AI. I throw in words that have a set of words that I would never say in business, and I use those, and it tends to interrupt whatever stream they have going. So I use that same concept as it relates to videos. Like you, a lot of videos online, I have mannerisms or things that I will always do in a video that if I see the video, I have to watch the entirety, and I can say that wasn't me because I didn't do X, because that's what I always do. So having your own personal, not code words, but code language, signature, you can now tell it to you. And again, like code words, you tell everybody, trust, hey, if you see this, and I don't do X, then you know it wasn't me.
I actually like that. So for the benefit of the video, the scenario is creating your own kind of signature for video that if it doesn't include that, it's not you. Like if you ever see a video of me and my hands are not moving, definitely not me. That's,
You think AI, over time, right, the more samples, the more videos you put out there, and you're continuing to do those motions, like, it can probably pick that
yeah.
up, right? So it's those trends and patterns, so I feel like it might work right now.
Right.
As years go on, you continue to put content out there, take that approach, I feel like it probably will.
I mean, all security is based on, I mean, if someone targets you specifically, dedicatedly, they're gonna be, there's no way you can defeat them. They are, they are, it's just the same scenario of a suicide bomber. Somebody goes and kills himself, much harder to stop than somebody who's just playing around. It's the same thing here. You're trying to get the barrier of entry so high that it's gotta be something really coming after you specifically, because that's probably not gonna happen.
But when we talk about the pace of innovation roughly doubling every 6 months, we can't keep up.
That's going to increase with AI. I mean, you're going to go from months, weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be exponential at some point, like very likely. Yeah, we had one in the back.
I think what they're trying to post it is on Circle, if you're on there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. That's what I've been told. Sorry about that.
And even just out of the box, not as sophisticated as whatever Riverside had out of the box, because it had nearly 4 hours of content to train on. It was so organic, his own life. Like, I gave it 2 or 3 pages of text, and again, nobody knows him, nobody said a word to him, and was on the difference, but it was because of just the sheer volume of stuff. Those podcasts are a lot easier than probably will be from here on out. I don't know how, if you were a long form content producer, how you could actually protect yourself.
Yeah, the concern around long form content production, I think, is huge, and we're seeing that kind of in Hollywood and with the latest advances in the media generation, the movie generation. It's crazy. Yeah.
I want to raise a question about the channel, because you talked about verifying through a known channel, a trusted channel. We're a relatively small business. One of the challenges is that we may only interact with a customer through one channel, say email, or maybe it is phone, but a lot more people don't use phones these days. They just want to talk to you via email. One of the challenges is that email itself from big providers like Microsoft is, for example, we have seen a lot in the past 6 months, and others I'm sure seen this, where you get an email and it looks like it's from you. It is actually from your email address.
Mm-hmm.
They're not spoofing it, it's using some type of gap between, it's like because it's an interdomain thing. I'm not security, I'm the growth guy, but I know you know about security. It's exploiting basically a vulnerability within Microsoft when you're sending from within that 365 environment.
Yeah.
I don't have any control over how Microsoft does or doesn't lock their own stuff down. We're kind of at their mercy. What do we do when it comes to, like, even the big players may not be doing enough, but we have to use their stuff? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because if you're on consumer grade of some of these platforms, you don't have a lot of options to protect your own email address and so forth. And that's probably what you're seeing. Those either individuals or on like a small business plan that doesn't have the same levels of protections as some of the other more advanced licenses. It's quite possible. I think you have to come up with procedural processes. That's redundant. You got to come up with processes ultimately to say, hey, to ensure that we take care of your security and privacy, we need a second channel. And you just say, if you don't want to do a phone number, is it Signal? Is it some other methodology? But email as your verification channel is kind of terrifying, to be perfectly honest. All right, we are about 12 minutes out from the top of the hour. I apologize for going so short. I didn't think it was going to go that fast.
The demo just works this way?
Yeah, I was really expecting the demo to take a little more arguing. Right? I feel like I won the demo lottery. All right. So close out that. Oh, we got another question?
Yeah, I was going to ask, when you were generating through Claude the deepfake, and you said that you were going to use it for a conference booth, do you think it would have generated it if you hadn't given it that reason? Like, does it have controls where it won't generate unless you tell it you're doing it for some sort of safer, legitimate reason?
It's a good question. Of all the models, I think Claude might be the one that would be hesitant. I did not seed it otherwise, so I don't know. I've not tried it. I don't know if anybody else has given it a shot.
I'm not sure if Claude's ethical barriers before, and had to create a theory on them.
You use Claude to generate the code before the application.
Yeah.
Or you can say, well, you shouldn't do that, like, we're writing this for a book plot. Oh, here you go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's quite possible that it wouldn't have worked if I hadn't said for that. All right.
Whatever code you write. Now, if you ask it to deepfake something for you, it will start crazy.
All right, so we appreciate your feedback to help us do things that are engaging and interesting to you. Hopefully this was entertaining and interesting, but feedback is always welcome, helps us learn and do better. And if you'll scan that QR code, submit it, we appreciate it. Otherwise, do we have anything else on closing out?
I do have one other thing. So not to scare anybody in the room, because that's not my intent. Going back to tone, recordings, all of that, one thing that has bubbled up as of late is all of the phone recording sessions that's collecting biometric data. So that's one other area that you guys should look at if you're security professionals in the room, right? Using something like Otter AI, Fathom, even Copilot to a degree, of how are they storing and utilizing this data from a security standpoint, because that's a whole slew archived of your voice data. And typically it captures the name of the person speaking at that point. It creates all the inflection points, and it basically catalogs the whole thing in AI. And so that's one thing I know that has hit recently is, what do we do in the case that this is being breached, and are these providers actually looking at that contractually from a security standpoint? So
I will add on to that. Zoom today, for one of my clients, released early preview of their own recording and AI transcription that is included with the Zoom subscription, or at whatever enterprise level. So even tools you already have are adding AI in, and if you're not aware of those things, that could come back to bite you if you're not aware of it.
Yeah.
And your legal obligations, yes.
So.
Yes.
Yeah.
One more thing before we quit.
Yeah.
I have been asked by Lora's husband to say it's her birthday tomorrow, and we all need to wish her a happy birthday to Lora.
Oh. Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lora. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, I can. I know he had planned on being here, but had to go to a funeral instead. So.
Cool.
Yeah. He's probably going to share that with the whole family. It'll be fantastic. If it ends up on Leg's Facebook, I'm going to go kill whoever's running social media for Leg might end up on my crap list. Yeah. All right. Otherwise, we'll close out again with a thank you to all of our sponsors. Again, if you want to sponsor, we're always open to sponsors. We love topic ideas. Otherwise, we're all just making this up as we go. It was like, hey, who has something they can talk about? It's like, I have the demo I did. We can talk about it.
Yeah, if you have great ideas, or you've done a presentation or something like that, come talk to one of us. We'd love to funnel you in, get you in. You can do a demo. But yeah, other than that, we'll continue plugging forward. I know for a fact we're planning on potentially a panel. We're still working out the details, but a panel on governance and compliance related to AI at the enterprise level. And then we're also looking at maybe, it was just talked about today, security models and kind of what that looks like across enterprises. I think there was a lot of interest on last month's slide that Benji did from like enterprise adoption, Microsoft Copilot all the way to local LLMs and being hosted there. What does that mean? And so there might be a conversation topic around that as well. So yeah, thanks again for coming out. Appreciate it.